I know you're going to see the header, and if you guys go down into the description, I always put the links for all of the articles, and you're going to see a Timcast article. I thought you hate Tim. I don't. Not at all whatsoever. I think that he's an excellent example of somebody who has a mediocre amount of talent, but somebody who, if you apply a ironclad work ethic day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, you can accomplish anything as long as you get a couple of breaks along the way. You don't have to get viral. All you need to do is just put in the work time after time, barely evolve your brand, and you can make it work. So shout out to Tim for being an excellent example for that. And he has the story right here. Well, actually, Adrian Norman, not, oh God, I forget what that Spurg who wrote the Eliza Blue write-up is. Shane Cashman out there. So yeah, he does employ quite a few actual journalists that are out there. I don't think this one's going to be under the gonzo section because this one's actually got some facts behind him. So shout out to him for that. More than half of moms of boys with gender dysphoria. Okay, so trans boys that are out there, allegedly, whatever category you want to put them in, have their own psychological issues. Oh my God, it's like I've been talking about this. Oh, but yeah, where's your stats? Where's your figures? Here you go. You know, sometimes you can just take a look at the world and realize that, wow, all of those moms who more than likely had the little purse dogs when they were growing up in the 2000s because they seen all of their influences all over reality television, the Nicole Richies and the Paris Hiltons, okay, living that brain dead lifestyle. And then, yeah, of course, after their little dog dies, what's the next most likely thing? To go out there and get that big old wedding, you know, rent out the town hall and just spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on marriages. You think that I'm being hyperbolic? That's what they're costing nowadays. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, depending on your location. But you only get married once. Yeah, that's definitely the case at this point in time. But then after that wears off, after the honeymoon's over, well, of course, you got to get a kid. What's in vogue right now? Having a trans kid. It's always about these bitches because they have a huge solipsistic, narcissistic itch that they constantly need to scratch. And because most guys are, let's call it what it is, are complete fucking dorks that have zero frame, zero ability to vet a future partner, they end up with a broken family. They end up with custody agreements that look like every other weekend and half of the holidays, and absolutely zero say when his ex-wife wants to put his kid on puberty blockers. Ta-da! According to resurfaced report, we got quite a few. We actually have quite a few different reports to go through. So, a study on gender dysphoria conducted in 1994 has resurfaced and is making waves over the conclusions it draws. Researchers compared mothers of boys with gender identity disorder with mothers of normal boys to determine whether differences in psychopathy and child-rearing attitudes and practices could be identified. According to the study, mothers of boys with gender identity disorder had more symptoms of depression and more often met the criteria for borderline personality disorder. Ta-da! You know who else has BPD? Amber Heard. You know who else is starved for attention? Amber Heard. You know who else is a single mother? Oh boy, once again, I feel bad for Oolong. Then mothers of boys, and yeah, that's a girl, but you know, who knows, man? This could be out of date by the time that this video ends up getting released. Maybe it's a little boy right now, who knows, but it's supposed to be a girl who don't exhibit issues with their gender identity. More than half, 53%, that is more than half, of moms of boys with gender identity disorder have been diagnosed with depression or BPD, compared to just 6% of the control group. Additionally, 44% sought psychiatric help for depression at some point in their life. Yeah, of course. Well, I feel sad. Why are you sad? Because I made bad decisions in the past. What are you doing to change it? Well, I take these pills. Fantastic. Researchers found that moms of sons with gender identity disorder are extremely dependent on their sons for emotional sustenance. Yo, man, these are single moms, man. Promise keepers. De facto husbands. Shout out to MLD for that term. These women who make their sons, yeah, their de facto husbands by giving them all the responsibility, guilting them into being that better man because your daddy ain't shit, foisting all of their problems on to the kid. Like, it's disgusting. You can see that play out many, many times over. Christ almighty, you take a look at all the simps that are out there. How many of them come from broken homes? You take a look at prisons that are out there. All those emotional men. Men need to be more in touch with their emotions. Yeah, and when they do, they end up in prison. They end up in the morgue. It was also observed that many of these women have symptoms, don't say it, of a narcissistic personality disorder, the paper states. Wow, big fucking shock. One more time. The resurfaced paper could reignite debate over what degree to which gender identity disorders among youth are the results of social contagion or other factors unrelated to the child's own physiology or psychology, as the U.S. addresses a spike in gender-related psychoses. And then also how fit single mothers are when it comes to raising children. Raising sons. If you don't have a strong masculine figure in your life, what type of bitch-made dude ends up popping out the other end of this stuff? Over the past few years, the number of young people who identified as transgender has doubled. I'm sure that's totally organic, according to research published in the University of California in 2022. Now, nearly 1 in 5 people who identify as transgender are aged 13 to 17. Single moms, broken homes, public school systems that are more concerned about teaching about where you want to put what, where at a young age, as opposed to teaching just a rudimentary level of reading, writing, and arithmetic. Makes me sick. 1994 paper found that mothers of sons with gender identity disorder had long-standing difficulties with interpersonal relations, including issues with separation, depression, and the management of aggression. Yeah, exactly. Things that a good father would help you out with. Separation. Yeah, because, oh, don't leave me. I don't have anybody to help me with. Oh, I need help doing this all the time. Depression. Yeah, because women are emotional creatures. And the management of aggression. Yeah, because the man's default response to something that is beyond his control is to react with a certain level of anger. You can go check that if you want, if you don't believe me, but everything that I say eventually comes true given a long enough timeline. I'm only half being hyperbolic. But yeah, if you don't know how to properly excise that out of your system, mostly by exercise or healthy displays of masculinity, then yeah, you're going to end up putting holes in walls or cracking a skull of your baby mama. They described themselves as compulsively seeking companionship, as prone to intense, emotionally stormy, angry relationships, because that's all they've ever seen growing up, and as having chronic and intense feelings of loneliness, emptiness, and depression. Exactly. When you're around somebody that's like that, because, yeah, you can go listen to somebody. Or if you came from a home where it's just a single mother, it's constant chaos day after day. Researchers noted they tend to make excessive demands on people and feel entitled to do so. Again, man, these chicks, they've just grown up to a point in time where, yeah, they're just following trends, whatever will get them the most attention. But then at the same time, they want to say that single moms are superheroes. As a result of the findings, researchers called for the additional studies to shed light on the familial contribution to gender identity disorders. Fucking hilarious, because, okay, cool, the psychiatric community did pick up on this, and they did a little bit of a follow-up. Now, I'll link, obviously, to the rest of this, but this one was conducted in March of 2021. So the study reports follow-up data on the largest sample of boys clinically referred for gender dysphoria. 139 people were involved in the study. With regards to gender identity and sexual orientation, in childhood, the boys were assessed at a mean age of just about 7.5 years of age, so an age range of 3 years, 2 months to just about 13 years old, as a mean year of 1989. Okay, so they're still millennials, but everybody would be, the mean year is 1 year prior to when I was born. And followed up with a mean year of 20.58 years. Okay, yeah, so 20 years old, halfway through your 20th year. Range, 13 to 39 with a mean year of 2002. Childhood, 88. The boys met the DSM-3, 3R, or 4 criteria for gender identity dysphoria. The remaining 51 boys were the sub-threshold of that category. So 63% of boys. So it's actually gotten worse with the follow-up study. So what did the medical community do when it came to that stuff? Yeah, they just decided to get rid of gender identity disorder from the DSM-5. So it's no longer a mental health problem. Don't have to worry about it at all whatsoever. Yo, man, this is wild. On Saturday, this is back December 3rd, 2012. So yeah, this is your psychiatric community, ladies and gentlemen. On Saturday, the American Psychiatric Association Board of Trustees approved changes to the latest version of the Diagnostic and Statistics Manual of Mental Disorders that will remove the term gender identity disorder, which has historically been used by mental health professionals to diagnose transgender individuals, or people experiencing gender dysphoria. Simultaneously, the term gender dysphoria will be used to describe emotional distress over a marked incongruence between one's experienced/expressed gender and assigned gender. And how did they accomplish that? A bunch of activists then just showed up and they just needed to get rid of it because it's the misogyny or gaysogyny, the homophobia, something like that, right? Some transgender advocates see this approved change to the DSM-5 as an important step forward towards removing stigma against transgender people based on false stereotypes. False stereotypes, huh? There's a reason stereotypes exist, because they're normally fairly accurate about gender identity and expression, as well as the word disorder. Yeah, because you see your average run-of-the-mill tranny that's getting blasted all over social media. Do they look like well-adjusted people? Is it appropriate that they get rid of this terminology from a diagnostic method? Transgender people may no longer be subject to lifelong default diagnosis of their mental health. Yeah, but you can always see a correlation. Harmful stereotypes. This approved change follows previous statements from the APA on mental health care for transgender people. However, other transgender advocates note that the barriers this change may create to accessing trans-related medical care, which could already be difficult to access and prohibitively expensive even before the change. Yes, exactly. See how they haven't updated their talking points in the previous 11 years? Yeah. But this also compounds from something else as well. How gay advocates got homosexuality out of the DSM. Bet you didn't know that one was in there before. The first DSM, created in 1952, established a hierarchy of sexual deviances, vaulting heterosexual behavior to the idealized place in American culture. Interesting. So the default position for 90% of people is the idealized place. Or did they just assess the landscape and start to point out similarities? It's like, oh, men like to be with women. Oh, okay, cool. Let's just write this down. And there's any variance off of that, then, oh, okay, yeah, cool. We'll just know that is some sort of a deviation from the norm. Because, yes, this is an official, or at least it was, an official textbook, an official manual that academics would read, and that they would be able to understand the deviance. Oh my God, why are you calling me a deviant? No, that's just a technical term. That's bigoted. Get rid of it. No, it's in my book. No, you're being the homophobe. Wait, what? About 50 years ago, the Alphabet Mafia activist achieved what they called the greatest gay victory of the time. Oh boy, unfettered butt sex in public, successfully pushing members of the APA to remove the diagnosis of homosexuality from the official classifications of mental illnesses. Yeah, and now with time we figured out that you might have been wrong on that one. The Diagnostic and Statistics Manual of Mental Disorders, by citing homosexuality as a mental illness, the APA and its members stigmatized gay people or non-normative sexualities and gender expressions. Good. This was probably one of the first L's when it comes to removing shame from society. Declassification as a years-long effort was culminated in 1973 when, in May, gay voices, let's be grammatically correct when we're stating facts, were heard at the annual APA conference. Normally, it takes the consensus of the medical field, which also you've seen didn't occur with the transgender removal. No, it was advocates and activists who always are there to push the truth and the honesty of things. Change signaled, yes, the country, there were not an inherent link between mental illness and homosexuality. Interesting. Very interesting. But now, as we're running back certain studies, we're starting to figure out that, maybe it is. Maybe it is something that can be diagnosed, something that can be remedied, and it's not one of those inalienable positions in life. Nothing against gay people, man. You go do you. When you're over the age of 18, if you want to make your Audi an innie or vice versa, you go do you. Just don't make me try to comport with your warped sense of reality. You go live you, I'll live me. and take your pride crosswalks and shove them up your cavernous ass. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.